Welcome to another educative edition of AgroLink, the show that promotes agriculture in Africa with a focus on the University of Cape Coast, particularly the School of Agriculture. This episode will focus on the Soil Science Department with a look on the various initiatives being taken to promote agriculture in Africa.
I'm Dr. Edward A. Amporful, Acting Head of Soil Science Department in the School of Agriculture. Soil Science is one of the 5 departments in the School of Agriculture. And we have been in the existence for quite some time now, like all other departments. Currently, we have Masters or MPhil and PhD programs in soil science as well as land use and environmental science. We are also developing another course called Soil Science and Environmental Management, which has been sent to our academic board for approval so that we roll it out next year. And the department, we offer teaching in the soil, BSc Agriculture. We also provide courses in Department of Agricultural Engineering as well as Agri-Econs and Extension within the School of Agriculture. Outside the School of Agriculture, on the same time within the university, we also provide courses in Department of Aquatic and Fisheries as well as Department of Environmental Science and Laboratory Technology. We provide services there. And what we do, we train people, postgraduate and graduate, with skills in soil science to satisfy the manpower needs of educational and research institutions as well as public and private sector in Ghana. We also undertake research to address the current and emergent problems with other agricultural experts as well as environment-related experts. We also provide consultancy services to farmers for both local and international organizations and the environment-related courses as well. We also disseminate our findings through our publications and electronic media. So basically that's what we do. There's a demand for soil science in Africa, especially during the rise of this climate change issue that has come up. And we have realized that climate change and the poverty reduction resides in the soil's ability to sequester carbon and also maintain soil fertility. And in Africa, we know that, or it is assumed, that about 60% are engaged in agriculture. So if these people learn about this carbon sequestration and maintain the soil fertility, then the food production will go up. So that's what we do. And apart from that, we also monitor the pollution or pollutants and their fates, the mobility of pollutants and their fates. That's what we do in soil science in Africa. We have done a lot. We have trained students. We have placed them in a well position that comes out of a strategy to maintain the intervention of soil depletion. Soil depletion means when the nutrient is gone, the soil becomes useless. So we are putting in place, we have trained some people well in place to maintain that the strategies will work so that always maintain the fertility of the soil. Also, we have direct contribution to train farmers in collaboration with MUFA under the SDF, they call it SDF Skills Development Fund, which we have trained farmers to undertake certain interventions that will keep their soils maintained in terms of fertility so that they can continue to produce the crop at any point in time. And also do some soil testing for some farmers so that they know the type of crop they should grow at one particular point here or the other. It's not every soil that can contain that particular crop in that particular area. So we do this lab work for some people or anybody who comes in. Then we tell them this one will be good for this particular crop or it may not be good for that particular crop. When it comes to fertilizer, inorganic fertilizer, we don't usually apply before planting. Before planting comes when it is organic fertilizer or organic manure. And the pro is that for organic manure, it has to be decomposed before it can release the nutrients. So if you plant it at the same time, if you do it at the same time that you plant, the crop may not get used to it. So you do it so that by the time you plant the crop, it must have decomposed and release the nutrients that the crop may need. Also, because of the temperature, because when the thing is decomposing and you plant it at the same time you apply the organic manure, it may cause the plants to wither or it may not grow because of the high temperature it will release. So when that one, you apply it sometime before you do the planting so that at the end of the day, the nutrients will be there and the temperature will be also normal. Secondly, there's this thing, the rock phosphates. That one is inorganic fertilizer. That needs time to break away so that it can release the nutrients. So that one, if you apply it directly to the soil, you may not get the phosphorus that you require. So that one can be applied for that. When it comes to the corns is usually related to the inorganic one. And that one too is related to the nitrogen sources, the one that contains the nitrogen. When you apply it before planting, you release some of the nutrients into the atmosphere that is going to cause greenhouse gases. And another thing too, by the time you realize most of them has gone into deep percolation, it has leached, you call it leaching, if you apply it before planting, because the plant will never use it. So it will go into leaching, and that one can go beyond the reach of the crop. So if you plant, you may not get any benefit to it. Secondly, when this one goes into leaching, it may go down to go and pollute water bodies. So by the time you realize it has polluted the water bodies. And when these ones will get into waters, that's why we have the algae in the soil. The water becomes fertilized. And as a result, you see some plants growing in waters. It means the thing has gone into what you call eutrophication. So if you apply it before time, these nutrients may go into water bodies that can form this eutrophication. And when the eutrophication comes, fishes in the rivers may die because the oxygen in the water will be taken up by the plants. And as a result, there will be no oxygen in the water, so aquatic life may be ceased. So we don't apply this one before planting. That is some of the cons before planting when you apply the fertilizer. Irrigation, plants do not take up nutrients in the solid states. Plants take up nutrients when in solution. And it is this water that will dissolve the nutrients into solution and the plants will take. However, if you apply water and the soil itself is not rich, we have done nothing. Because water, even though plants take water, it doesn't take only water alone. It takes water plus nutrients. So once irrigation is good, so that can have continuous distance, the soil fertility too must be taken into consideration. Other than that, if the soil is not fertile and you apply water, water alone cannot produce anything that we want. So that is, water is not the only solution. It plays a major role, let me put it, a major role, but irrigation is not the only solution. And thirdly too, in case you irrigate and you don't know the type of soil you are irrigating, especially if the soil is still saline, if there's too much salt in the distance, you apply the water, but at the end of the day, plant cannot absorb the water. It's rather the other way around. The water in the plants will rather come into the field because it's salty. So if you know the nature of the soil and you know that it's saline, and you do something about it, and the soil comes to its normal state, then the irrigation can help in boosting agricultural production. We have currently what you call reform. That there's an agricultural forum for this in which soil science is taking seriously part in it. We have other one called BEBI, B-E-B-I project. That one is for the production of baucha. I don't know whether I've heard of baucha. Baucha is small, like let me put in a proper small content, layman's content. It's a charcoal, but small sizes that we use to modify the soil so that the nutrients can be drawn up to it. So the BEBI project was there. Then you have another one working with Danida, we call it wet sock. If you go there, you see their farms are there. We were using the voucher to determine the soil physical chemical properties of the soil. So we were in project, that is what we are doing. Apart from this international one, we work in good collaboration with the local one, like Crop Research Institute, Soil Research Institute, and other universities. Some of us are examiners, external examiners in their thesis. Others too are the external examiners here, the accreditation, those kind of things. So we work in good collaboration with the local ones too. And some of our students are in so many places. All agriculture-related areas, some of our soil scientists are there. All research institutions in Ghana, especially both crop and soil, we have some of our students there. Some of our students are in the banks as project managers. They go and advise whether to give them loan or not. We have some of our students there. And some of our students are even in environmental EPA. We have some of our students at environmental. It's because our soil science is related to the environment. So most of our students do over there. So we have our students spread out. There is hope for soil science advancement in the light of collaboration work that we do. When we do collaborative work, at times they bring their experts to come and train our people, other lecturers, students, and we exchange work. And as a result of that, the new things that we don't know, we get to know. And the things that we cannot unlock too, they help us to lock them up insofar as soil is concerned. So there's hope for these things. And if I'm not exaggerating, agricultural scientists are not many in Ghana. So if somebody should venture into it, the probability of, especially if you do it in advanced stage, the probability of getting a job in the universities or research institutions are higher, because the people are drawing back because they think undergraduate level they don't get a job. But there is hope in terms of research work going up. There should be the deep presence of soil science when it comes to policy taking and project implementation of agricultural this thing. Because if you take, like somebody cited it, a plan for food and job or something, I haven't heard much about soil sciences involved. And even if you take the Commander Sugar Factory, for example, during the assessment, but I never heard, especially we are closer to them, but they didn't consult us for anything, for the assessment of their soils. But we don't know the reason why the whites went away. It could be it's a soil-related problem. But always, nationally, whenever they are taking something for agricultural production, they don't usually involve much of the soil scientists, which to me is not the best. Because at the end of the day, the agriculture if the soil as a warehouse for soil nutrients, we don't involve somebody to tell you, apply this, apply that, and you do it, eventually you will collapse. That's why most of the agricultural projects are collapsing. To me, it's because they do not involve soil scientists too much. So they may either over-apply or under-apply the fertilizer they are using. So at the end of the day, it will collapse.